All right. Welcome, Shaz. How you doing?
I'm good, Matteo. Thanks for having me.
Of course, brother. Really glad I got to talk to you a bit earlier. And it's funny that we're in the same similar kind of circles. But for those that don't know, Shaz is in the AI space as well, and he actually automates YouTubes and help. He's really tapped into the whole lead generation side. And I would love for you to just talk and expand on your offer, how you got to it, and a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. What's up, guys? It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Shaz Mathew, founder of AttractAI.io. That's our website. And right now, we are doing AI marketing. That's what I like to call it, or AI lead generation. We're helping people, businesses, companies build out their social media, leveraging AI and automation behind the scenes and booking sales calls. So that's sort of the offer we're running with right now. And on the side, we're also doing more general automation and AI work. That's more on the custom side. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, born in America, raised here. And I just finished university. I'm going full into the AI space, and that's sort of what I do all day, every day.
That's awesome. It's such an exciting space. And what I really like is that you and we've started a little bit. We talked about this, like going general, and you know how like tricky that can be when you try to just apply everything, be everything to everyone. And I like what you did with your niche. You've really found a way to book 10 to 30 like B2B calls for people in a month. Like, how'd you figure out how to do that?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things to do in business in general is just try stuff for yourself. And if something works, that's always an offer. So basically, background on myself, it's almost a year to date. I think about a little over a year now. I started posting on YouTube. That decision literally changed my life, right? I've met amazing people. I've booked in hundreds of sales calls. I've learned a skill that is pretty much irreplaceable. And as I started to build out my AI agency, I was getting so many leads through YouTube, like so many leads. As you were mentioning, I had leads in this niche and that niche, and it was awesome. Money was cool, projects were great, but I was ultra stressed because it was not scalable, right? It was just too many people, too many things going on. And I sort of zoomed out for a second, which I encourage everyone to do, zoom out on what's working. And I saw that YouTube, I'm crushing it on YouTube. I'm booking sales calls, I'm meeting people, I'm making it happen there. So I'm like, I could apply my automation and AI knowledge to YouTube and help other people, grow theirs and grow their business. So that's sort of the angle I took. And it's been awesome ever since because now I have an offer. It's solid. We're booking in sales calls, and everything is just much smoother at this point.
Gotcha. And why YouTube specifically? Like, what is it about YouTube that makes it such a powerful tool?
Sure. So I'm biased, but it's the best lead generation source, right? And just going from the logical standpoint that YouTube is a long form platform. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all these other platforms are short form. And if someone watches a 60-second clip, if they get there, most people's retention is it's horrible. They have TikTok brain. I love that term because it's true. If someone watches a 60-second video, if you get them to do that, first of all, it's congratulations. It's hard to do, but that is nowhere near the power of someone watching a 6-minute video on YouTube. And 6 minutes is a short YouTube video, right? We're pumping out 20 to 25-minute videos. People are watching them. They're just so much more qualified for the simple fact that they're just watching more, right? And it gives you an example, it gives you the ability in the platform to explain what you do. And the people that have attention spans are the people I want to work with. And that's sort of why we get on YouTube. And then the SEO, the targeting there is awesome. YouTube is owned by Google. So you get on the Google pages. And I mean, it's just the best lead generation source.
That's such a good point. People Google Shaz Matthew, and Google and YouTube, of course, are the same like owned company. So yeah, you get ranked higher. So SEO purposes, that's smart. And you got me thinking too. Yeah, the long form. I heard a creator also talk about podcasting because podcast
Mhm.
audiences, they also a bit love a long form format. And someone is basically downloading your brain, like they're on a walk or they're doing something long with just you in their ears. So you are nurturing these people in a much more impactful way with this long form type content. That's really smart.
Yeah, absolutely. Podcast is like the evolution of YouTube, in my opinion, because people could do it anytime. Like YouTube, you still have to watch the video. Podcast, you could be doing the dishes and just listening to value all day long from some of the smartest people. So YouTube and podcast, I think it's one of the best ways to nurture people.
Gotcha. And so I actually went through YouTube and like you said, super valuable content. I had a question because I am also like in an accountability group for YouTube. We're trying to post for that exact reason, like get more volume, get better at it. But there's an idea, there's a philosophy where there's more of like the Sam Ovens approach where you don't do many edits at all. You just do long form, you just like post a ton of value, one cut, maybe two, and just like post it up there, versus like the other like super Hormozy style, hyper edits, hyper high
Yeah.
quality. What is your thoughts on that? Does that affect book calls?
Yeah, so if you go to my channel, it's just my name, Shaz Mathew. You can see I don't edit anything, bro. I don't edit anything. It's just right into the value, and that's the type of videos that are easiest for me to make. One, and I enjoy making. I enjoy just having the value there, talking about it, speaking on what I truly love to do and what I'm really good at, which is YouTube, AI automation. Just talking about that stuff, maybe cutting it out a little bit when I mess up, or adding zooms for a little retention here and there, and captions. But that's the style that I like to create, right? And I think the biggest difference I see between like hyper edited Iman Gadzhi type of videos and just straight Sam Evans videos is Iman Gadzhi's B2C. I think Sam Evans is sort of, well, he's an exception because he's a beast, but B2B is sort of just more raw. B2C, you have to have edits because it's like B2C, Iman Gadzhi, it's like the, how do I explain this? It's the TikTok brain of YouTube. Like you have to keep people engaged just because it's that audience, right? So you need to have edits. But if you're just going B2B, which is I'm targeting B2B. I'm just doing straight value. People appreciate it. People love it. And those are the people I want to work for. And those are the people I end up working for. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And there is like a massive utility in niching down, filtering out who it is you're going to serve. I also noticed that so you have those types of filters. You work with B2B, but you also work with people who already define their ICP, their ideal customer profile. And you also, correct me if I'm wrong, you also work with people with high ticket offers, right?
Yes.
So what is the thought process behind those categories?
Sure. So defining an ICP is super important for the way that you structure the videos that you are going to post on YouTube, right? Because if you don't know who you're targeting, I can't help you very much because it's going to be too general. YouTube is, I don't know if this is common knowledge, the second largest search engine, right? So you have a niche. You probably have a niche of a few million people, and that's like really small. Like AI automation, that's millions, hundreds of millions of people. But if you niche down, you're going to be much more likely to rank for your specific niche. So if you have an ICP defined, we could ideate behind who you're trying to target, sort of reverse engineer. Okay, I'm targeting realtors that are in their 50s. Okay, let's sort of let's work out what those people are looking for on YouTube, what they're searching for, and let's make those types of videos. So having ICP is huge, and high ticket is huge as well because you don't need a lot of sales calls to make a lot of money, right? If you're booking in 10 sales calls a month and you're closing, let's say, four at $2,500, you're making 10K a month. That's like the pillar, right? 10K a month. And YouTube will do that because, again, it's super high qualified. So selling high ticket is obviously the way to go, I think, for any business owner, especially if you're providing a lot of value. High ticket is a no-brainer.
I totally agree. Totally agree with that. I also saw like how you've really dissected the problem, or you like diagnose the old way of lead generation and like the new way. And you see a lot of what you just mentioned of like this nurturing process, and you call it the 7 hour rule. Could you go into the 7 hour rule and also like the distinction of the old way of doing lead gen and the new way?
Sure. Yeah. The 7 hour rule, I think it was coined by people above me, but I use it. It's essentially if people watch 7 hours of your content, they're pretty bought into what you're selling. So that's like the golden rule where you just want people to watch 7 hours of your content, then they're super likely to book in a sales call and work with you. If they're going to work with anyone, they'll probably work with you if they consume 7+ hours. And then going back to your first question, you would have to literally have someone watch 10,000 reels to reach 7 hours. Like there's just no way. So YouTube video, that's maybe, 10, 20 YouTube videos, which is much more achievable. And I think it's going down, right? It might not be 7 hours anymore. Hopefully it's lower, but that's just that. And then the old way of lead generation is sort of cold, right? It's reaching out on LinkedIn. It's doing DMs. It's auto sending 10, 20,000 emails a month, which works. Like that still works to this day because, there's strategies behind it, but nothing beats someone that watches you and wants to work with you. That's the new lead generation mechanism. That's the new way to do stuff. And if you look at any single person online, they're online, like they're on YouTube, right? The biggest people in the space, Hermosi, Iman Gadzhi, all these huge people are on YouTube. I don't even think you could get to a 6-figure like a month business, which is a huge business, without having some type of YouTube presence, right? I don't think there's probably people doing it, but on the online space, I don't think there's many people doing it without leveraging YouTube. So the old way is cold, mass sort of volume. The new way is warm, inbound, creating content.
Love that. Now, do you think there's a way to reconcile the two? When do you I know. So you prioritize a new way. You prioritize this long like sales cycle of like nurturing the leads and everything and building that authority. Where do you plug in the cold outreach and the cold DMs? Where does that play a role?
That's a great question because there's a huge segue in between the two. And you could leverage YouTube, which is one of my favorite things to do, is leveraging the YouTube videos in your more cold approach. So for example, just some things that we do for our clients is YouTube is not limited to just the platform. So think of a YouTube video as its individual asset. You could embed it on your website, embed it on your landing page. If people don't show up to sales calls, you can send an email flow with the YouTube video, right? It's just getting people on YouTube through these videos is the important part. Another really big strategy that we see people doing is doing these mass, cold outreach, cold email mechanisms, cold DMs on Instagram. And then the call to action is not to book a call, it's to watch this free training, which is a YouTube video, right? The people watch the free training. If you do the YouTube video right, they watch another video, then they watch another video. Then you don't have to ask them to book in the call because they want to. So if you combine the two, that is where you see the most growth. And I think the strategy is definitely doing mass cold outbound to get people to your YouTube, which eventually, if you're doing that right, books in the call for you.
That's so subtle yet so genius. That's really good. That reminds me of we discussed Robbie Abuvala. He was my in on this whole world. He recently said somewhere that in the description of every single one of his YouTube videos is a link to exactly that. Like
Yeah.
it's a training, but really that acts like a VSL, and every single video points towards that VSL. And of course, there's a CTA at the end. Is that a practice you recommend, or is there like another way to optimize your video description?
I literally just started doing that. Like I literally made that public VSL 2 weeks ago, and I just posted it. And now under every single description, I'm going to start driving traffic to that what I call like a public YouTube VSL. And then under that VSL video, that's like a book a call option. So it's a great strategy. I still don't have much data on how it works, but it's working for him. I know Iman Gadzhi was doing it. A bunch of other creators are doing it. Where essentially, just to summarize again, it's like you have a VSL, you post it on YouTube, but every single other YouTube links back to that public YouTube VSL. So it's a great strategy. And again, it's just free traffic, especially if you make that one public video like really, really good. Then yeah, it's a great idea.
Gotcha. Is there any utility in going back and like optimizing your thumbnails, optimizing things that I mean, I understand YouTube, it's one of its strengths is that it's evergreen. Like one of your
Yeah,
videos could pop off, but what are some low leverage things that people focus too much attention on that don't actually have any ROI?
great idea. So the top three on YouTube that we've seen from just watching content and then from the clients that we're working with, the top three most important things: title, thumbnail, or thumbnail, title, hook. So thumbnail, if you don't have that, no one's going to click on the video. Title, if you don't have that, no one's going to find the video. And then if you manage to get past those two steps and you get the thumbnail and title working and you have a bad hook, no one's going to watch the video. So those are the three things. Anything outside of that it's not that it's not worth your time, but it's of less importance. So the description is of less importance. The tags on your video is of less importance than those top three things. That is sort of how I like to think about it. Should you optimize those other areas? Absolutely. Like the description is pretty important, especially if you want to book in calls. You want to make sure at the beginning you have like 1 to 2 sentences of what this video is about. Then you have your book a call option, and then you have tags and other stuff. But outside of the title, thumbnail, and the hook of your video, everything else is less important.
Of course. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. 80/20 everything, right? 80/20 those three.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you
I
have to
hope
be good. Just sorry to preface, like you actually have to know what you're talking about in these videos because otherwise, like nothing's gonna work. So that's just something I put out there. Like you can't just spew nonsense either.
that's actually the perfect segue. I was going to ask you about like the authority, right?
Mm,
Because yeah, say you like, and I like how you say eyeballs. You need eyeballs to get money, right? Eyeballs
yeah,
to no eyeballs, no freedom, right? I like how you put that. But say you start getting these eyeballs and you just communicate. You don't know what you're saying. You have what was really interesting too is like even if you do have clients, it shows that that's not enough. Even if you have like a little bit of like local authority, that's not enough anymore. What do
right.
you mean by the threshold has moved? Like it used to be enough, and used to getting a few eyeballs was enough. What
Yeah,
where has the goalpost moved, and why has it moved?
sure. I believe the goalpost has moved to people that have a lot of social proof online. So what I mentioned in one of my videos is that having an outstanding offer is no longer that important because Hermosi gave it for free in a book. Now everyone's doing these crazy offers. having clients is no longer that big of a flex because anyone could get a client nowadays, right? You could just hire someone from overseas to fulfill for you. Like it's not that big of a flex anymore. What's a big flex is being able to portray your authority and literally show like I do XYZ for XYZ niche and I know what I'm talking about, and then showing that online, right? And one of the most leveraged things that you could do is have a client interview. So if you go to my page, one of the pinned posts on YouTube is my client interview with a client. We killed it for him. And not only am I selling myself on that video, he's on that video on the interview form selling my service for me, right? In a video format. I think the YouTube client interview is probably the most like leveraged piece of social proof you could have. So that's like probably that like raises the bar in my opinion. If you could have a few of those, which we're working on right now, I think you're miles ahead of everyone else.
That's so funny, and the timing's perfect because I just asked like my clients to send me some vertical videos, testimonials.
I saw that.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll appreciate that. I'll ask them for an interview. But the thing that's really simple with Instagram, because that's where I'm strongest socially right now, social media wise, is that you can have like the highlight. I can just pin it.
Yeah.
So what do you do for these types of videos that are super valuable? You know, like are you worried about them getting buried, or how do you pin these type of video testimonials?
Yeah, so that's a great strategy. The YouTube Instagram combination is really powerful. And just to give you over like a high level view of my strategy, because I think you're doing something similar, is I purely use Instagram for stories and like you said, the little highlights. So every single day I'm posting a testimonial, I'm posting, results, I'm posting wins, I'm posting me driving in my car, just to keep people like interested in my life and interested in my business, right? Because stories, I believe, and they're the most viewed thing on Instagram. Like they're the most like you get the most retention from stories because it's really personal, right? I could see what Matteo is up to as he's traveling the world. Like that's pretty sick. Like from my point of view, like I can keep up with you and then that sense. So I use that Instagram for that. The client wins as well, like and in your highlights. And then I use Instagram finally for sending people to YouTube, right? And then on YouTube I do my thing there. I have all my major call to actions there, like booking a call with me, all that stuff. And then on YouTube, my call to action back to Instagram is if you have any questions, DM me. I'm a pretty salesy person. So if someone DMs me, I've sold packages in the DMs before just using voice notes, using text, something that's not available on YouTube. So that's sort of like my segue there. I send people to YouTube, and then the only reason I send them back is to DM me on Instagram, and I sort of have a conversation. I don't have any AI in my DMs. I've gotten that a lot. Everything is me for now.
Gotcha. Okay. So you close on IG semi-frequently, like just straight there, or do you still book a separate call? Because there's a philosophy there. There's a different schools of thought where you can, yeah, like you said, you can just close people with a little voice memo. You send them the Stripe link, and there's other people that say, hey, no, I think I can get them an upsell. I think we still need a different call, like take them off the app. What do you think?
Yes. So it depends. It depends on the person, and I've done both. So I've sold packages that are more low ticket in the DMs. High ticket is obviously there's less friction if you just get on the call and like because you can handle sales objections. I would avoid like saying a really high price, like $3,000 on Instagram because then they could ghost you. If you say that, like we're on a call right now, and if you say that, it's very likely that you're going to leave. So at least I can handle some type of rejection there. So low ticket stuff, super easy. Like I do consulting calls all day through the DMs, just like slinging those out there. And I also go for the philosophy. I forgot who pretty prominent guy said this, but if someone pays you $1, they're so much more likely to pay you $1,000, right? So I just try to get any low commitment from someone, like the littlest commitment, and that could be done through Instagram. So if you want to hop on a 50-minute or an hour $50 consulting call with me, great. That person is miles ahead in terms of qualification. That might pay me $5,000 down the line than someone that's paid me nothing. So just getting even a little bit of money from someone, getting a little bit of commitment is huge, and you could use Instagram to do that for sure because it's lower commitment in the DMs.
Makes total sense. So could you go through the evolution of Attract AI? Like
Yeah,
how did it start? Where's it at now? Where do you think it's going?
yeah, great question. So high level, and I was in college, university, and ChatGPT dropped. Shit, I'm dropping school, man. Not that I dropped out, but mentally I was not there for the remainder of school because there's no way that AI is not the future of business, and there's huge opportunity, right? So I sort of dropped everything mentally, went into the business, started Attract AI, and we just started general. I think that anyone just sort of starts general. That's my advice to you: is just see what works, right? So I had conversations with all type of people. We ended up working with content creators, people in real estate, people in the tax industry, everyone that was willing to pay me, I would take. And that was good because I learned so much. I learned what I liked. I learned what I didn't like. I didn't like working with some crowds. I liked working with others. So that was sort of how I started, super general. And then a really good thing, like YouTube, again, game saver for me because I started getting so much feedback like from the channel, like, oh, okay, this niche is booking and calls with me and they want this. So I got a little bit of data. Data is everything, obviously. I got data from my YouTube channel about like, okay, how I should proceed. That sort of guided me to where I am now about AI marketing, AI lead generation. So we started off custom, started posting content on YouTube, got a lot of data, got a lot of feedback, and then slowly narrowed down my offer because I was just receiving so much amount of data that you really can't get anywhere else but social media.
So when it comes to that market feedback, how can you filter out what is actually useful
Hmm.
and what is just noise?
Great question. So getting on calls and actually talking to people. So I have a qualification like stuff like I tell them ask for their budget and all this stuff to qualify them. But even if they have a low budget, especially in the beginning, I'm taking all the calls I can. I want all the conversations so I could hear what people want because you could have this idea. Sometimes we think we're so like good at what we do, like, oh, they need this, they want this, but they want something completely different. Like, who am I to tell you what you want? So like hear the conversation from the actual client that you're trying to serve and then sort of formulate your offer around that because that's literally what they will buy. So don't like, obviously you might know better, but obviously like have some type of, it's not being humble, but just have some type of reception to like, okay, they're telling me this. If five people are telling me this same thing, I might want to look into selling this service instead of what I'm doing or pivoting a little bit. So that's sort of how I take feedback. And then noise is pretty easy to filter out. There'll be some like outrageous stuff that you hear that you just know as a professional, like, yeah, I can't do that, bro. Like the AI, like people, a lot of people come to us for like the fully AI cold calling, like tens of thousands of a day. And I have the information where it's like, is that possible? Yes. Will that be mandated pretty soon? Probably. So it might not be best to go down that route. So there's some stuff that's just noise that you obviously have that gut feeling and that knowledge to turn down, but also be pretty receptive to people and their trends and what they talk about because they know a lot about the market and then you just sell off of what they want.
Yeah, it seems so intuitive, but yeah, like these people, this is their baby for a lot of people. Their business is their baby.
Yeah.
And to go in and just say, oh, that's not really a pain point for you. You really need this. It's just insane. But a lot of us
Yeah.
do it. I was guilty of it too.
Yeah. Everyone does it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to learning like these mistakes, I've personally found it to be really helpful and like shortcut a lot of things to just meet people in person, like go out of the way, like make the effort to like go to as many masterminds in person if I can, whatever. I saw that you were at Dubai recently and you met Liam Motley and all these other creators. What are some nuggets you got out of that mastermind event?
Yes, that was awesome. That was awesome. Dubai was sick, man. And talking to those people was really cool. Another thing about entrepreneurship, and I encourage you to do it and pursue the personal brand. Like, props to us. We might not think it's a lot, but we put ourselves out there pretty far. Where you're posting reels, you're posting content. I'm doing the same thing. It's more than a lot of people do. So like, props to us. Props to anyone that's doing that. And that's a commonality because everyone there at that mastermind was on YouTube. That was literally how we got invited. We got invited through YouTube, through social media. If I had no social media, I wouldn't have been invited. So that's commonality number one. Number two is I would just say sort of openness and like value giving. I don't know what the term for that is, but everyone was really cool. Like everyone I've met from entrepreneurship is really cool. No slimy intentions so far. I mean, obviously there's bad people out there. I can't speak for everyone, but everyone was open to give value, open to give sauce. Stuff like that. So just be pretty open, like talk to people, network. You never know what you could learn. And another thing about YouTube is you never know who's watching. Like, for example, I posted on YouTube and it just happened to be Liam Motley was watching one of my videos and reached out to me. I couldn't have known he was watching my videos, but I put in the reps to where it's like I have a higher likelihood of someone pretty powerful, someone pretty known reaching out to me. So one more thing I'll leave you with is just determination. Like everyone there failed multiple times, lost tens of thousands of dollars. I've lost so much money in my life starting businesses. It's ridiculous, but no one ever gave up, which is a simple thing, but it's hard to do. So just keep on pushing.
Absolutely. And you see other people in the same thing as you because social media is a highlight reel. You don't really see
Yeah.
these failures until you meet them in person. They tell you to your face.
Good point. That's a great point. I was so super surprised about some of their journeys. Like, holy shit, they went through all of that, and you cannot tell unless you meet these people in person and sort of talk to them, which is a good point.
100%. So I'm like you said, like I see the value of YouTube, and I've been posting short form for a while, and I want to avoid the TikTok brain people as well. Is there a is there credence to this? This is what I've just gathered. I don't know if it's like tested, but it seems that on YouTube it's really good for like looms and like Miro boards, like walking through things.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to IG, it's more like talking head stuff. Is that what you found as well, or?
Yeah, that's what I found. So on YouTube, I see the trend is B2B companies, Miro boards, Gamma documents, SOPs, all this pretty like low leverage stuff to create. And then B2C people, it's more like talking head. Even on YouTube, it's more talking head lifestyle stuff. So that's like that have plays on both platforms because on Instagram as well, like you're talking about Ravi Abuvala, he's also posting like the iPad videos now where he's like breaking stuff down, circling stuff, highlighting. If you've seen his recent content, which is doing really well for him. So I think they're both applicable on both platforms, but Instagram is definitely more talking head. YouTube is definitely more like breaking down Miro boards, all that stuff. So there is like trends, but I think they're both applicable on both platforms.
Awesome, cool. So if people want to reach out to you, how can they find you, and what are your other offers that you're working on at the moment?
Sure, yeah, but it's just my name across all socials. Usually on YouTube, you could DM me on Instagram. I answer all questions there. It's just Shaz Mathew, ShazMathew. There's no two T's in my last name, which is interesting, I guess. But you can find me there. And what we're working on right now is just pushing more YouTube stuff. And in the background, we're helping people get on YouTube, whether you're starting out or whether you already have a business. We'll do like done for you or done with you to get you started, depending on your situation. But outside of YouTube, we're working on some really cool AI automations for Twitter and LinkedIn. So these written platforms now are highly susceptible to like AI because you can't really tell now what AI is just writing. We have some really, really cool models we're working on. And I personally know people in the industry, which I'm not going to call out, that are just completely using AI for all their written content platforms. And you can't tell. You cannot tell that they did not write that, which is pretty crazy. And it's pulling in an insane amount of impressions. So we're rolling that out soon. So soon we're going to have a system that we run our clients through where we make the YouTube videos with them. They put the YouTube like links into our system and it generates insane amount of tweets and LinkedIn posts, not insane amounts, but insane quality that just brings more traffic back to YouTube. And that's sort of like our self-fulfilling cycle there. So that's like to come. That's sort of what we're doing in the future. And yeah, that's what we're working on.
That's super exciting. But yeah, I almost left this without touching on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is it fair to say it's a kind of hybrid because the people there do have a little bit more of like a time retention. They're a
Yeah.
little bit more serious. They have some more purchasing power, but it still feels like it's trying to be a type of like uh, short form content. Like it's kind of like a X. Where do you see LinkedIn play a role in all this?
Yeah, I just got on LinkedIn literally like 3 days ago. I updated my profile from when I was in school. I put all my links. I started reaching out to people, and it was bad. I haven't paid attention to LinkedIn earlier. Sort of a shame because I had like 100 something connection requests, and I just went through all of them, and I DM'd all of them. And I might close a deal on LinkedIn pretty soon here, so like it's already paying dividends for me. And yeah, again, it's really high quality. I got some insight, and I don't know if this is true, but apparently they are coming out with their own short form platform really soon on LinkedIn. So we'll see how that plays out. You get all the short form people moving over to LinkedIn. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's like a really professional platform, and I don't really want to bring like the Hermosi edits to LinkedIn, but it is what it is. I have no control over that. I think LinkedIn's great for calling people to YouTube. So like little 3 to 5 minute snippets of what you're building out. If you want the full training, go to YouTube. That's sort of how I'm playing it right now. I've yet to really post there, but that's sort of my goals for this quarter is get more on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And so I'm going to follow you on LinkedIn before this is over. But thank you for your time, Shaz. I'm going to have links to your YouTube and all your socials here in the description. But yeah, appreciate your time. Is there anything you would like to say to people who are trying to build their YouTube, build their social media?
Reach out to me. No, joking. Besides that is no, just try. It all starts with one video. One video truly it changed everything. You might have that same experience where you took one action in your life that just changed everything. And you never know what that action is. For me, it was posting on YouTube. For you, it might be sending one cool DM. So just put in the reps, and if you're dedicated every day, you'll make it happen.
Love that. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.